When board games give us more, we're rolling with more. Hi, I'm Will, and with me as always is the one every pony knows, known as Meeple Blue herself.
Sarah.
And today we're doing a review of My Little Pony, Adventures in Equestria, Deck-Building Game, Familiar Faces expansion. Sarah, tell us a bit about this expansion.
All right. Familiar Faces adds 4 new starting characters, more of every card type, and introduces 2 new mechanisms, Discovering and the Adventure Row Callout. So let's briefly go over what this expansion adds. You have to prepare the adventure deck now.
Yes. In fact, there's 3 different types of cards. There are the action cards, the artifact cards,
And allies.
and the allies. The way it wants it now is 30 allies, 24 actions, and 6 artifacts. Previously, there was more actions than allies, but there was always 6
There was always
artifacts.
6 artifacts, yes.
Now you can mix them up, but it kind of wants that arrangement and numbering of that many copies.
So you can do everything purely random between the expansion and the base game, or they do have an interesting where if you really want to take the time, pull out 1 copy of every single card, and then from there randomly pick your assortment that you need. And that is interesting, but it would take a little bit of work.
Yes.
All right. So discovering traits and keywords. Now there are cards that will say discover like Wonderbolt or
Leader,
or the icons in the upper right hand corner, they will now call out. So if you can discover moons, you'll gain a benefit. So the card will tell you what benefit you gain. Usually there's a max, so it doesn't go crazy. But the cool thing is, it doesn't just look at what's in your hand or what you play. It looks at your other players and your allies. So you really have this enhanced cooperativeness where now it's like, hey, Will, do you have any mountains? Because I can get...
Goldfish.
No, wrong game.
Go hunting. Go pony.
Go pony would be indeed. So it's very interesting that you can have this new aspect of gaining whatever it is, and you are getting help from other people without them having to spend anything.
Yes.
Okay, the Adventure Row Callout. You want to take that one?
So some cards will have, what is it called? The Adventure...
It just says Adventure Row.
Adventure Row. That means whenever that appears, you can look at it and it'll have a discount if you meet certain requirements. Like if you have Wonderbolts or if you have Mountain Symbol or Leaders. And that will reduce the cost, making them more affordable. So that makes the row a bit more dynamic.
Yes. Now that effect only applies to when they're in the row. Once you've bought the card and you play it, it doesn't do anything. But it can make cards cheaper and it creates a synergy.
Yes.
Among the cards. Otherwise, just the fact that there's a lot more variety in the cards, it did feel like there was more deck manipulation with being able to draw.
When this happens, draw more cards or look at these, put one on top, put with the other one in your discard pile. That type of interaction allows you to manipulate your deck a bit more.
Right.
So that levels up the complexity just a scotch.
Yes. And it did feel like, at least with the locations, it felt like there were more opportunities to trash cards in your deck. Mostly it looks at your discard pile, which timing can be difficult on that one. But it did feel like there were more opportunities to get rid of the cards you don't want because you're getting in all these good cards. And then the new locations felt a bit cheaper, but they also gave effects beyond just gaining cubes, which I found very dynamic.
Yeah,
you could get tokens.
And she does mean cheaper because you have to pay movement to get to a location.
Right.
A lot of movement was like 2 and 3, which was very pricey. Well, now you got more that have ones. So you can get to places now very easily.
Yeah, it just felt like there was a lot more opening up of the design space.
Yes.
All right, so let's see how it changed a 2-player experience. Now, I did feel that not having more players was a bit of a negative for the Discover, just because, well, you only have one other person to help you meet icon requirements.
Yeah, of course, we also felt this whenever you have a card and it calls out for a specific pony.
Yeah.
And that pony isn't being played. That just falls flat. And again, that will feel even more so in this one, because if you're playing a mixture of both the base and the expansion,
yeah.
and you still only have 2 ponies, well, now it's going to call out 8 different characters.
And you're only playing with 2.
And you're only playing with 2. So that's a little tough.
Yeah. But the player interaction for the 2 players did feel higher with discovering. I mean, in the base game when we played, I'd be like, okay, it's my turn. I'm going to do my thing. Unless I was actually trying to overcome an obstacle, I didn't really care what was in Will's hand. I didn't ask him.
Right.
It was just, okay, you sit there, look pretty.
Yeah.
But now with Discover, it's like, okay, Will, I got to see what's in your hand first before, I figure out what I'm going to do. And then on his turn, he's like, okay, I've got this. Do you have anything? So we were invested in what each other had every step of the game.
Yeah, and also more thought went into what cards we bought. So, for example, Sarah has a card that triggers off of stars. There are things I can afford that are out there. They're all pretty good. However, a couple deal with stars. And she points that out because she knows that she can possibly get a more benefit, because if they're in my hand at the right time, she gets a more powerful effect, which helps everybody. So we would actually talk more about, well, what cards do we invest in? Let's let that one go because nobody's getting anything with Wonderbolts.
Yeah.
Let's focus on this one because we are invested in stars and moons.
Exactly.
And that one has both. Yeah. So we had more engagement just from that aspect, again, because of the Discover mechanic.
Yeah. Now, this will probably happen in higher player counts, although maybe a little diluted because that many people talking at the same time might not be a good idea.
Right.
But it really felt like it brought the 2-player experience really together.
Yes.
All right. And the other thing, that this is a good, bad thing, depending on who you are. For us, we were fine with it. It felt easier to win.
Yeah, I think we have enough experience that we got the most out of this and really saw the benefits kick into another gear. It does mean I think we're finally going to look at adding in setbacks, which is something... Situations, which we've actually kind of avoided because we thought we only want it to be this hard. Well, now it feels... a little this hard, so we need to probably bring it back up to where we feel comfortable, and
and the great thing is that there are a couple levels with the situation, so you don't just have to all of a sudden go from 0 to 60. So we're like, okay, maybe next time we play we'll add in a couple of situations and we'll just see how that changes things. Let's not go crazy here.
Yeah, because situations are usually things that add in more costs or just extra little inconveniences.
And they can accelerate the clouds, if I remember correctly, some of them, if you don't finish them quick enough.
Yeah, but we smashed through this.
Oh, yeah.
Really
it was fun, don't get me wrong, but we smashed through it pretty fast.
Yes.
Okay, on accessibility, moving on. There's going to be the same issues with some of the icons blending into the background. So there were a few more cards in this set, this expansion, that had darker backgrounds, and especially felt bad on the horseshoe. There was one on the upper left-hand corner where the horseshoe icon is, and it was really dark back there, and the white behind it just really didn't make it pop. So it's, again, one of those things that maybe if they ever do a second edition or maybe do more expansions, try to clean that up so that there's more contrast.
Bigger stroke line. We'd hope for a banner, but...
I would hope for a banner because there's banners other places where it's like you don't even need to have these icons directly on the art. There's plenty of art, and that little sliver being not visible but that's my opinion.
Yeah.
So cognitive, you talked about this a bit earlier, that it's a higher...
Yeah, because of the more deck manipulation, not everybody is geared mentally that way.
Yeah.
And can think that way, because for some people it feels like thinking in circles. Well, I need to do this to cycle that to get this to have that happen and see this awesome benefit, and it's essentially like thinking 3 steps ahead. People rather just think at the step that they're on.
Right.
So that level of expertise does add in more of a thought process that you might not have seen in the base game itself.
Right. And for me, I had the weirdest trip up. So in the base game, anytime you gain a sugar cube, it pretty much showed the icon for the sugar cube because as far as I can remember, it always gave you a specific color. Now in this expansion, there are several cards and also some locations that give you a cube of your choice, but it uses text. It doesn't have an icon for a wild a cube of your choice.
Which is weird because you could have 3 sides showing and it's like pink, blue.
I don't know. Those icons are pretty small, so adding more color, I don't blame them for not trying to come up with this
new
icon means choose a color of your choice. But the problem then is I wasn't looking for text that said gain a cube of your choice. I was looking for cards and effects that gave a cube. That actually had the icon. So I missed at the beginning several cards that gave me what I needed because I didn't have the icon.
Yeah, same with the locations. I would have to keep asking her because she's like, oh man, I can't do anything that great. Like, well, are there any locations that give you cubes? And she goes, well, there's this. Oh yeah, and I can choose one of my choice.
Yeah.
That happened like 3 times.
It happened at least 3 times. So there's a little bit of cognitive shift. And again, maybe they could have come up with an icon that meant wild or of your choice. Like maybe just a cube with a question mark on it. I don't know. Maybe making it white with a question mark. There's some options.
Yeah.
But using text is generally the straightest way to do it. It just didn't work for me. Now it will. Don't worry.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's it for accessibility. So let's go on to how our opinion of the game changed. We like the increased player interaction. That was amazing with Discovery.
Discovery alone is a fantastic way to get actually discussion happening in a cooperative game. Because I never thought of it as being, well, it's very important what I get symbol-wise because you could subsequently gain benefits by me having it in my hand.
And it really makes the cooperation very cohesive because then it's not just buy this card, go ahead and buy whatever you want, or buy this card because it helps you. It's like, buy this card because it helps me, but then that helps us.
Yes.
So it's all good. It's all positive player interaction and reinforcement of working together.
Yes.
So really, really like that. Definitely like the increased deck manipulation. That was really good.
It feels like you have more control, which is why we felt it was easier.
Yeah.
It's probably going to feel easier for some, depending on how you play. Just the way we played.
Yes, agreed.
It went easier.
And just the new cards, having new characters to play with. I love playing with Spike. That was really cool. And just having more choices, more variety. Doing the deck setup's a little annoying, but there's only 3 different card types. So at the end of every game, just make sure you separate the deck into those 3 types so that it's ready for the next time.
Yeah.
All right. So who this is for?
Again, this is for the intermediate gamers, the ones who love My Little Pony. Also, gamer families.
Yes.
That love the My Little Pony franchise. And it's just generally for those who want more variety. Right.
Yeah, this expansion will add a few new challenges, more variety, but generally I feel is a positive addition to the game that I think most fans, if you're already a fan of the original game, you are going to love this expansion.
Yeah, and we are going to stress that this is not for kids that, especially from families who don't traditionally buy a lot of heavier board games.
Yeah.
This is not a family weight game. 14 plus is still a good recommendation unless you're a gamer family and you should know who you are.
Right. This is not going to be the most complex game for gamers, but those people who generally stick to just the more casual mass market games are going to find this a bit complex.
Yes.
All right. So how do our ratings change?
So beforehand, we had 11 out of 12. Fantastic score. Sarah, does this change for you?
If I could give a higher than a 6, I would, because I think this makes the game so much better. I love it. Personally, will never play without this expansion moving forward. Just everything that it adds is fantastic. So it's a 6+, right? Because we can do that. You know, A+, it's a 6+?
Yes, 6+.
6+.
Gold star.
Gold star.
Shiny die.
Oh, it's sparkly.
Yes, it sparkles like a sugar cube.
Yes.
For me, it actually stayed at a 5.
Okay.
Everything that this game adds, I absolutely love. However, I don't like the fact that now it involves a bit of thought in setting up.
Yeah.
So what it adds.
You don't have to do that part, though.
I don't have to do that part, but it sends a little bit of extra time in just getting this game to the table. Whereas previously, you just grab the deck, shuffle it, you're ready to go. Now it's, okay, let's count out this ones. Do we want to play with this character? Okay, we probably should do that. It feels like there's extra setup that I don't care for.
It's not what you wanted from the game.
It's not what I wanted the game to go, but I understand for variety. And since 60 cards is a timing mechanism, especially for higher player counts, it needs to be in there. It's just one of those unnecessary evils. And
I will have to say, though, at a 2-player count, you could probably use the whole thing. Because the deck running out is never going to end a 2-player game.
True, but then again, we also never really played with situations.
I do see that. Yes, the situations do get shuffled in, and if you're playing with all the cards from the base game and the expansion, they could get shuffled in at the bottom and never show up.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
So you still kind of need it for some sort of balance. And then, especially in a 2-player game, well, I have one of each, and like I said, you have cards calling out for 8 different characters. We're only playing with 2.
Yeah.
Then it's even less powerful. So, I take the good and take the bad and mix it together, and I still get a 5.
Okay.
So, 11 plus is the score, which is slightly better than before.
But the same?
But the same.
Well, let's wrap up with a conclusion. So, Will, for 2 players, do you recommend the Familiar Faces expansion for the My Little Pony deck-building game?
You said it wrong. It's My Little Pony Adventures in Equestria Deck-Building Game Familiar Faces expansion.
That's why I rely on you to say it.
2 players, yes. I want more out of the game, and this did give me more. It gave me more mechanisms to play with, and I just had a blast with the discovery mechanisms.
Yes, it was great.
I've never felt that integrated cooperatively in a game of this level like I have with this.
Right.
So, fantastic.
And then for accessibility challenges, still recommend it. It does add some complexity, but if you've been playing the base game for a while, I think most people, and you've been enjoying that, I think most people would be ready for the expansion.
Right.
All right, then, well, to recap, we're still at 11 out of 12, just on the higher end of 11 out of 12.
11 with sparkles.
Yes, 11 sparkles out of 12.
Yes. All right, that will do it for us here at Rolling with More. And Sarah, what's my pony name?
I don't know. Something with red in it?
Probably not.
Oh.
No, because since this is Familiar Faces, I like the different characters. And one of my favorite characters is Cheese Sandwich, who's voiced by Weird Al Yankovic. So therefore, I'd probably be Turkey Sandwich.
Yes, you would be Turkey Sandwich.
Or I can't say words.
Vegetable?
Vegetarian.
Oh, vegetarian.
Vegetarian burrito.
You're a burrito.
I'm a burrito.
That has nothing to do with ponies, but okay.
And we've been Rolling with More. And remember, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach out to us on the various social media platforms at
Rolling with 2. That's TWO. We are on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And on YouTube, please like and subscribe.
And if you have time, check out the other content Nanaman has found for you. Because remember, he's rolling with you.